All right, so a few days ago, we were talking about Modern Warfare. And during that conversation about Modern Warfare, somebody commented, wouldn't it be funny if Commander Graves was the one who actually came and executed Makarov, just grabbed him, tied him up, and beat the dog shit out of him? I think it was Diego El Oficial who commented that. And it's funny to me because we had kind of talked about this before. Like, what if we use Commander Graves in a way where we got him to play a more prominent role in the fourth Modern Warfare and maybe, was the one who pulled the trigger on Makarov? Now, obviously, the story of Modern Warfare, the story that is going to happen in Modern Warfare 4 is more than likely going to focus on Task Force 141, is going to focus on Price and Ghost, Gas, and maybe one or two other new characters that they bring in, and is going to concentrate on getting Makarov through their eyes. But if we were to play a little bit with the story and we were to try something different, because why the fuck not? We would say, all right, how would a story play out with Commander Graves and his Shadow Company maybe getting some revenge on the Connie group and Makarov? If you look at the history there's something. There's some hatred there. There's something that maybe Graves hasn't let go of yet. Now, a lot of people look at Graves, and depending on what version of Graves you're looking at, you might think, well, he's just a money-hungry mercenary who is the commander of this PMC, and all he cares about is his money. He doesn't care about his men. He cares about getting rich. He cares about protecting himself, and that's really it. But you could also look at the history that he's had. He was a Marine Raider. He was a guy who clearly cares about the mission that he's doing, clearly wants to finish it, clearly wants to do it in a good way. And if something goes wrong, it reflects onto him and his company. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at Graves. Now, Graves had a problem with the Connie group specifically when he was transporting the missiles for General Shepard in Modern Warfare 2. What happened? He was in custody of transporting these missiles to the Middle East to basically be sold. He was just doing his mission. He was just doing what he was paid to do. And during the transport of the missiles, the Connie group intercepted them, shot at his men, made him fail his operation, made him lose the missiles, and killed multiple Shadows. And you can hear Commander Graves, wanting to send backup, wanting to help his people, wanting to help his soldiers, and he was denied that by, Shepard, who was at the time running that operation. And so there's a bone to pick there. There's history there, and there's anger there for Graves and Makarov. Now, if you fast forward that a little bit, you get to look at Makarov in Modern Warfare 3. When you see him with Nolan on top of the roof, it seemed like he had somebody kidnapped. And he was beating the shit out of them. He had them like hanging, I think, from the ceiling. And I think it was a Shadow because if I'm remembering correctly, and it's been a minute now since I played MW3, but if I'm remembering correctly, they said something about Shadows breaking. And so Makarov kidnapped a Shadow from Graves, beat the dog shit out of him, and interrogated him. And he basically had him kidnapped, right? And he was beating him and torturing him until he probably died. If we're being honest, the Connie group probably went back in there, shot him, and that was it, never to be seen again. So Graves has lost a lot of men to Connie. Graves has lost a lot of men to Makarov. And I think that anger builds up. I think there's a power play there. I think pride starts to kick in, and Graves is like, you know what, fuck that. Like, I need to get my revenge on this fucker. And if you look at Graves by himself, like personality wise, what type of guy is he? He's an angry guy. He's a guy who's prideful. He's a guy who doesn't like to lose. Look at how he talked to Valeria, telling him, you want to know the difference between the military and me? You're going to find out. Talking to Hassan, he's basically telling him that he'll fucking murder him right there and leave him to the coyotes to eat him. He doesn't give a fuck. Like, Graves is a straight savage. Graves is a guy who holds a grudge. Graves is a guy who he wants to get his revenge. If you do him wrong or you play him in any type of way, he wants to get that shit back. And so I think that with Makarov has gotten away with it plenty of times. So I think it would be an interesting story from a narrative point of view. What if some shit happened and Graves and his Shadows, you would have to really use your imagination to say, okay, the story of Modern Warfare 4 needs to revolve around Graves and his Shadow for this to make sense. But if it were to be the case, then you could say, okay, Graves and his Shadows throw an operation onto Connie, Shadows overwhelm Connie group, Graves is able to get his hands on Makarov somehow and just beats the shit out of him. He got some face-to-face. They get after it. I'm sure Makarov isn't no wimp. I'm sure Makarov doesn't have any special training. Of course he does. But wouldn't it be cool to have like a hand-to-hand combat there between Graves and Makarov? Graves gets the upper hand and, he fucks him up. Like, he just beats his shit, maybe ties him up a little bit, tortures him, gets a little bit of info out of him, and when he's done, boom, blows his shit. Like, I don't know. It would be cool. It would be cool to see that Graves kind of unhinged, kind of badass guy go after Makarov and get his revenge for all his shadows that he lost, for all the shit that Makarov has been doing to him, that he remembers, the stuff that, pissed him off. So I think it would be cool. I think for like a fun little thing, just for funsies, if you want to say that, I think Makarov dying by the hand of Graves could have been something interesting. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of that short story that we wrote about the redemption of Commander Graves. Like, I could see that Commander Graves. If you went that route, I'm pretty sure that character that we kind of wrote there and the stuff that we gave him, he could do that. Like, you could see that happening. So I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. I thought it was funny. When I read the comment, I kind of laughed a little bit because obviously that it's not something that's going to happen. That the freaking Call of Duty writers aren't going to do that. They're not going to go down that road. Why would they do that, right? It's not Graves' story. Like, Graves is really a side character that just was very well liked by a lot of people and then hated by other people. And they both have their benefits. They both are important. When you love or hate a character, you kind of do the same thing. You give him attention. And when you have that attention, you can do a lot with him. So I think Graves is an interesting character. Like I've always said here on the channel, I think it would be cool if you had Graves like choking out Makarov and just beating the shit out of him, because Makarov's a hoe, man. Like, I'm tired of that dude, so it would be cool to see that. But anyways, just a fun little theory or a discussion of what if this happened. Obviously it's not going to, but I thought I'd share it with you. What do you guys think? Would you like to see Graves take on Connie Group? Would you like to see the Shadow Company take on Connie Group? Like, there's history there, there's hatred there, there's two PMCs there, one's from the United States, one of them is Russian, I believe. So there's a lot that you could do there. It's an interesting thing.